So for the next segment here, so you can see here now I have taken this and removed all the metal, basically all the brackets here on the frame, etc. I've taken and rounded all the corners, ground all the edges off. Oop, put my light in the way. I'm gonna get a light this time so that way maybe we won't have the issue of it being dark. Again, on my screen here, it just goes black, and I don't know, the auto adjustment I don't think is working well. But anyway, basically what I've done here is I've taken a square and put it on this frame here after I got rid of those little pieces right there, and I put it on here, and then I just made my mark right there straight across, and you know, just kind of straighten some of these lines out, and then like I said, rounded everything up, ground it all off to where it's not sharp. I'm actually going to take a welder and, you know, weld in all these little you know, gaps and cracks and that sort of stuff. But first, I want to get the rack and pinion over here and get it on here and get it spotted in regards to, you know, getting the passenger side plate, blind nut plate on here, the driver's side blind nut plate located. I want to get all that done first before I actually go, you know, grinding on all these, you know, cracks and, you know, little gaps and things of that nature. And the main reason for that is because I want to make sure that this is exactly what I want. So if I find out, for example, that I do want to cut off some more material, you know, I'm not wasting my time welding up things that I'm just going to cut off anyway. But we're getting closer. And then once we get that rack and pinion mounted here now, I'll be able to know exactly where it goes. So basically, next step here that I'm going to perform is I'm going to go over here to the rack and pinion. I'm going to get those eccentric brackets put on. I'm also going to bolt on the passenger side a blind nut plate bracket, get it on there. And then I'm basically going to bring this whole rack and pinion over here, and I'm going to hang it on this thing. So we're going to hang it off of the eccentric plates. Basically, location is where we're going to hang it off of, and we're just going to loosely bolt it up there so we can, again, kind of get a good idea where we're going to be putting this. I think I might even go ahead and make the hole here. I'm not sure yet, but I do have to make a hole for that blind nut to fit through there. And then over here, I think I got to actually grind a little bit more right here in this location to get that nut to fit right there, so that the plate sits flat. And then of course I'll be looking at Auto Edit's video a little closer to see, you know, exactly where he did place everything. And then based upon that information right there, I'll make sure that I've got the rack and pinion centrally located, and so that way when you actually do adjust the camber, that those eccentric brackets can actually move with you know, the adjustment. Okay, so next step. So before I go to put the rack and pinion on, or at least try to get it somewhat mounted on that vehicle, what we have here is we have Total Control Products Eccentric Eliminator Kit. Okay, so it's saying here 66 to 70s, but it works for the 71 and 73 as well. All right, so there's the part number right there, TCP EE02, or 02 rather, I guess. So nonetheless, these things here, as you can see, they've got 3 different holes, and according to the instructions here, this thing can vary up to 5 degrees in adjustment, and it has 11 different settings depending on how you twist these babies. And you know, you can turn it around. I mean, you can make a whole lots of adjustments, I guess, at least up to 11 adjustments. And according to TCP, each adjustment is worth about a half a degree. Okay, so that gives you a pretty good idea of what you can do with these things. Now, the purpose of this is that when you have, well, here, I'll show you in instructions actually. When you have your old-fashioned way of doing things, basically you put your bolt through here, and then you would twist that bolt, because it would have cams on there basically, and you twist that bolt and it would actually move your lower control in or out based upon where you cammed that thing. So the drawback to that is that over time, you know, vibration, you know, hitting speed bumps and all that kind of stuff, your adjustment becomes off a little bit. Okay, so maybe, you know, in the scheme of things where you're checking, you know, your suspension geometry a lot, and maybe you're racing or whatever, and you need to make quick adjustments, I would say, I guess, the cam version would probably be better. But again, you're watching it, you're paying attention to it, and you need to make sure that you tighten it, of course, so the way it doesn't move. But the eccentric eliminator kit, it eliminates the eccentric part of it, and thus making it to where when you put the bolt through, right through that hole there, it fits inside, you know, this guide plate right there, and it's just not going to move. I mean, if it does move, it'd be like 1/8 of a camber or something maybe. But really, seriously, it's just not going to move at all, and your adjustment will be set. So these kits right here, I wanted to do this because I knew that once I'd set it up, I mean, I wasn't going to adjust my suspension much. I mean, I'm just making this thing to where it can drive on the street, and if I need to go do something different, then I'll adjust it at that point. But that's also the cool thing about this, by the way, is that if you actually play with these things a little bit, you can actually know, you know, for example, I'm going to drive it on the street. This is the adjustment, this is the hole that I want it, and this is the way I want it. And then if you play with it a little bit, you know, like twist it around, etc., and then, okay, this is what I want to have it when I go to the drag strip or go to the track, you know, road track or something of that nature. That is kind of the cool thing about these, is that you can simply pull the bolt out and move these to where you know that your setting is going to be exactly what you know it's going to be, because you've actually, you know, used the machine to dial it in before. That's the real cool thing about these. You don't have to have a machine, so to speak, once you have designated each hole in a certain position, so to speak. Okay. Now, when you put these on, you have to have these things to where, as you can see here, there's 4, 2 for each side, and you can see they all line up, right? So you've got to have them to where they're, you know, for example, this pair would go with that pair, and this pair would go with that pair, and they need to be lined up perfectly when you put them in there. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a center punch, and I'm going to hammer right there and hammer right there. And basically what that's going to do is that's going to tell me that I need the center punches facing forward or backwards, or however I'm going to install it on here. I'm probably just going to put the center punch mark forward. That way I know that in order to match these pairs up and these pairs up, that's exactly what I need to do. Just have the center punch marks facing the same direction. Okay, so I'm now going to go ahead and start setting these things up after I make my marks, and install that rack and pinion over there. And that's the other thing. When I went to auto edit video, Jason's video, and I looked to see how he initially set up to get the rack and pinion on, and what he did is he actually set those eccentrics inside here to where the lower control arms were in the maximum outward position, or the maximum track width position. So over here, it's going to be to where that bolt and the lower control arm can be as far out, and same over here, as far out as possible. So that's where I'm starting, because that's what he used, and it looks like it's a good idea to me. Okay, next step.